with our roads. Yes, the thing we love to complain about here most in Michigan, including the debate over where the money should come from to fix them. It went nowhere in the legislature this spring or summer. So, could this lame duck session end with some kind of road deal? If not, the Michigan Chamber of Commerce is threatening to get involved by getting the road funding issue on the ballot. And that is where we start. So let's bring in our MiWeek contributors, Nolan Finley of the Detroit News and Stephen Henderson of the Detroit Free Press. Gentlemen, it's always good to see you, and it's always good to start talking about roads because the orange construction barrels are kind of still up and rolling this time of year. But so let's look at our lame duck session and when those lawmakers come back after the election. Nolan, do you think that there is some political will to get any kind of road funding transportation deal done?
No, I don't think there's the political will. I don't expect it'll happen. They've been going after this and going after this and going after 10 years now, and they can't come to any agreement. We haven't raised the fuel tax, raised revenue for roads since 1997. I wouldn't expect they're going to do it in this lame duck, even though now would be the perfect time to come in and say, look, we're going to do a 15-cent gas tax because gas is now in many places under $3.
Yeah, it's really taken it down.
If you're ever going to raise the gas tax, now's the time to do it. You put it on now and people don't feel it the same way they would have when gas was $3.89 a gallon. This is lame duck would be a perfect opportunity, but I don't see the political will. Too many people, too many of them have been out there on the campaign trail saying no new taxes, we'll not raise taxes for anything. I don't see it happening.
But the governor said that he thinks that maybe something could happen, and we have seen stranger things have happened in lame duck sessions.
We have, and the governor's been very active, or I should say the government has been very active during lame duck over the last 4 years, and in some cases doing things that the governor said he might not have wanted to do, but that he ends up signing anyway. I think this is a real test of his relationship with the legislature and his command over the agenda there. He said earlier this year and last year this was #1 on his list of things to get done, and they have thwarted him so far. One of the real tests, I think, in his candidacy for re-election is, what is that relationship like? This is a governor who's gotten a lot of things done, but hasn't been able to break through on this. Can he build the kind of political capital and maybe just goodwill to get them to do this? You have leaders in both houses are term limited, which means they will not be back in January, which sort of is a good time to do something on your way out the door that you think is just the right thing.
Is that then have the feeling of well, you got nothing to lose, so you might as well just try to get something that might be slightly politically unpopular, that might not get reelected, but you don't have that problem.
Or another way to think about it is, I'm leaving government. Both Jace Bolger and Randy Richardville are leaving government. Why not leave on a high note, doing something that you know needs to be done and that the people want, but that the sort of political will is running in the opposite direction?
One reason is because you got a lot of folks in there who are striving for leadership positions in the next legislature, and you've got a lot of really odd characters likely coming in for the next legislative session who are going to hold them to this no tax pledge. I don't think they're going to move on it, particularly those who see themselves in the speaker's chair and the majority leader's chair and are trying to build coalitions for those jobs. I think the lame duck will be all about leveraging for power and influence in the next session.
Also the fact that they haven't been able to do something in 10 years, and here you have a session that's about 6 weeks long, to be able to try to figure that out or get agreement on something like that.
Well, but there's a plan on the table. It's not like they had to start from scratch. The governor has a plan on the table that will work, and there's no question about the numbers or the wisdom of it. From a policy standpoint, all you do is vote on it. This is not rocket science, and if they can't deliver something like this that voters say they want, that we all know, anyone who drives a car can tell you how badly we need this
But
solution.
the chamber's going to put some pressure on.
All right, so let's talk about that. The fact that they're saying, well, look, if the legislators don't move on this, we're going to start the slow push by starting a citizens ballot initiative.
And it's a very unusual move for the state chamber. They don't like government by ballot initiatives. They've always been against that and have opposed that method of governing, and they've also been reluctant to increase taxes. And yet they're so fed up with the roads and so fed up by the inactivity of this legislature that they're threatening to do a citizens initiative, get enough signatures to force a vote on a road funding package, and if the legislature votes it down, it goes on the ballot, and the people will decide.
What specifically are they looking at? Are they looking at taking the sales tax from fuel purchases?
Right now, that's where the proposal is. You know, there's a 6% sales tax on fuel. None of that goes to the roads now. It goes into the general fund. They would take that money, it's about $500 million, put it in the roads, and then force the legislature to fill the gap.
Ooh, so then when I say, when I hear $500 million and forcing the legislature to fill the gap, where does that come from? That's got to come from out of someplace else.
It's got to come someplace else. And again, I mean, I think there are options on the table that we've been talking about. You know, the fuel tax, as Nolan pointed out, hasn't been raised since 1997. We still have not talked about whether licensing fees for your vehicle should go up. Charging these trucks, these giant trucks that come rumbling through the state all the time and pay less by weight than they would in other states. These are all really sensible ways to raise new revenue. I'm not sure what the lobby is against doing that, or why we're listening to the lobby against doing that. It's just a matter of standing up and saying, this is something that's got to be done, this is the way to do it, and get through that.
Well, these lawmakers have created a narrative that's a majority of Michigan residents believe, you know, according to the polling, that we've got enough money for roads, we just spend it poorly,
Yeah.
and we do spend a lot of it poorly,
do.
but we also don't have
We
a
need
lot of
more.
money for roads.
Yeah, we need more.
All right, so again, explain though what a ballot initiative would be. This isn't something that you're going to be collecting a bunch of signatures and then waiting for a year for this to be
No.
actually on a ballot for people to vote on. This would go directly to the legislature, and if they don't
Right.
act on it in 40 days, then it would
It's
go
like the abortion bills they
Yeah.
pushed through last term. You go out, you get X amount of signatures, I don't know what the number is, and
It's a low number.
Yeah, and the legislature has to vote yes or no. If they vote no, it goes to the ballot in the fall of 2016. If they vote yes, it goes into law without the governor's signature. The governor won't need to sign it.
Well, let's hope that they figure out something before
Yeah,
2016.
well, but the problem with that solution is that the governor's not the roadblock here. The legislature
I
is.
know.
The governor's all in on his plan, and probably would negotiate for something different. It's the legislature that's in the way.
Okay, so before we leave talking about the lame duck session, you think it's going to be a lot about jockeying for power. Any other issues on the table that we might see crop up? Because again, this is where we saw right to work happen in a lame duck session.
Yeah, I think there is some fear that the apportionment for our electoral votes, changing that to by congressional district, which is something you hear whispers about out of the GOP caucus in Lansing. I think there's some fear that something like that could come up just the way Right to Work did, figuring, we can get this done and maybe get the governor to sign it before we get out of town. I really hope that's not the case. We asked the governor about that when he came in to see us. He wouldn't commit to one way or another on it, so I'm a little afraid that if it does come up, he'll not stand up the way he should. But I have heard people say that they're afraid that the GOP will try to do that.
Well, if that comes up, then nothing else gets done. There will be no road deal. I mean, because to get a road deal, you need Republicans and Democrats in a coalition. If you throw that on the table, they're just going to bunker
You got no
down in
Democratic votes,
in
sure.
their partisan caucuses, and that'll be it.